What's going on, guys? Ryan O'Toole back here again, giving you guys another awesome, exciting video. This is the video that I've been waiting to do all summer long. It's the end of the summer movie season 2019, which means I gotta give you guys my end of the year summer movie video. That is right, I'm going through the whole entire summer movie season. Except I'm doing something completely different that I've never done before on my channel. I see around YouTube all my good buddies and movie reviewers do what's called tier lists, and that's what you see I have set up right now. I'm going to be going through all the summer movies that I've seen. I've seen 41 summer movies, and I'm going to give you my thoughts and put them in a tier. But before we get started with this video, guys, if you are new to the channel, feel free to click that subscribe button and that bell notification icon for more reviews, reactions, rankings, and more movie content. And guys, we're going to get right into this video. But before I do, be sure to let me know your guys' thoughts on all of the summer movies as well. Would you label them amazing or worst or disappointments or surprises? Let's get a great conversation down below in the comment section. And how I'm going to do this, guys, is as you can see right here, I have this tier list right here, and I have different categories of where I'm going to be placing all 41 of these movies. So I have the best category, which is the best, obviously. Then there's the worst category, which is by far the worst. The average category, the surprising category, and the disappointing category. That's how I've labeled all of them. All the movies that I have seen this summer movie season are down below, as you can see by the posters. I'm going to start from Invader Zim and go all the way up to Anna. I'm not going to count Avengers Endgame because that came out the last week of April, not the first week of May. So we're going from May 3rd all the way to August 23rd. That's the whole entire summer movie season. So now you guys understand how I'm going to do this, and I figure we should just get right into this with the very first movie right here, Invader Zim Enter the Florpus. I thought this movie was surprisingly a lot of fun. I haven't seen Invader Zim in a long time. I saw it when I was a kid, and I did enjoy the show from what I remember. And watching this on Netflix, it was cool to see Netflix bring the show back because it was canceled into a movie, and I thought a lot of the Zim aspects were a lot of fun. It's a great movie for kids. They'll definitely enjoy this one. There's kid humor, but there's surprisingly adult humor with it as well. In terms of rewatchability factor, this is the one I'm not going to rewatch a lot, maybe another time. But for Netflix releasing this was a good surprise. So I'm going to rate Invader Zim Enter the Florpus in the surprising category. I actually had a lot of fun with this. I thought I wasn't going to like it, but surprisingly did. Alright, let's talk about Booksmart. Now, this is Olivia Wilde's directorial debut. It premiered at South by Southwest, and I thought this movie was great. Great directorial debut from Olivia Wilde, and some of the performances here are fantastic. The coming-of-age aspects, the raunchy comedy, it feels like Superbad but with girls, and Jonah Hill's sister did a great job in this. And Olivia Wilde did a great job of making you feel like you're in high school, but as well as just coming to terms of who you are as a person. And I thought the friendship vibe in here was great. Some of the best friendships I've seen in film in a while. And the performances are excellent, the script was totally realistic, and it just made me feel like I was in high school again, and that I related to this movie a lot. So this is definitely one of my favorite films of the year so far and of the summer. So Booksmart definitely is getting into the best category. Really good movie. If you guys haven't seen Booksmart, definitely watch it. Next, we're going to talk about The Peanut Butter Falcon, one of my favorite films of the year about a kid with Down syndrome who wants to have a dream of being a wrestler. This movie was great. I love The Peanut Butter Falcon. I was happy I saw this movie. Shia LaBeouf gave a really good performance in it. Dakota Johnson was also really great in the film. And it just feels totally realistic. A great friendship again. And it's about achieving your dreams, which is something I really like seeing in film, people following their dreams. It's beautifully directed, beautiful cinematography, and it's just a really damn great film that I really like. So The Peanut Butter Falcon is in the best category. This is a fantastic film that you guys need to go check out. Next, we're going to talk about Yesterday. And this movie, I gotta be honest, I was a little disappointed with this movie. The Beatles aspects, it's a really cool story all around about this guy taking the Beatles songs and basically making it his own. He loses his memory. People have no idea who the Beatles are, so he uses their music as his own, and it's a story about that. So overall, I thought the performances were good. Lily James was great, but overall, a lot of things that didn't live up to expectations. The storylines were really confusing all around. Some decision making with the main character didn't make sense at the end. The ending was also very disappointing. I wanted more of an emotional impact, but I didn't really get that. I was just expecting better from this film. So yes, yesterday's in the disappointing category. I was expecting greatness than what we got. So up next is Aladdin, the live-action remake, directed by Guy Ritchie, starring Will Smith as the genie. This movie, I actually really enjoyed Aladdin. Seeing it in theaters, I really liked a lot of the visual aspects. Will Smith is definitely the best part about this movie as the genie. He brought a totally different take on the genie and not impersonating Robin Williams. And I thought Will Smith had a great human side to the genie as well, which was different than the original. And I really like Mana Musad as Aladdin. Naomi Scott as Jasmine was great as well. A Whole New World, I was actually really worried that they would obliterate that song, but it was done really well. Jafar was definitely not good at all. Worst part about the movie, and I was really scared about Jafar from the trailers. I definitely want to rewatch this because I've only seen it once, but I did enjoy it in the theaters. So yeah, Aladdin 2019 is a surprise for me because I thought I would hate this movie going in because I'm not a huge fan of Guy Ritchie, and the trailers haven't impressed me. But don't just believe it from trailers. Go see the film for yourself, and I actually really enjoyed it. Next, let's talk about Tolkien, the film about J.R.R. Tolkien, the man who wrote Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Man, this film really let me down. I wanted to love this movie. I wanted it to be one of the best films of the year. But it's just a story about J.R.R. Tolkien. It explores his whole life with him in the war, as well as him coming to write these iconic movies and books that we all love, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. But man, the performances are there. Nicholas Hoult gives a really good performance, as well as Lily Collins, but nothing realistic or human to the overall story. It's just a paint-by-numbers cliche film about an iconic author. Not much other character development that I could get invested in a story that I couldn't wrap my heart around it. But still, it does have beautiful story aspects, but it's just driven by things that I'm not really interested in or couldn't get around to. And it had an ending that just left me questioning things. But still, Tolkien, not the worst movie I've ever seen, but man, I was expecting more from this. So Tolkien's definitely a disappointment for me. Next, let's talk about Long Shot. This was the first film I saw of the summer movie season, May 3rd. And Long Shot, this was such a good time. I really enjoyed this movie. Charlize Theron, Seth Rogen, O'Shea Jackson Jr. might have stolen the whole show for me. He was absolutely hilarious, but it's definitely a really great story. I really like Seth Rogen, his character having a huge crush on Charlize Theron, who is his babysitter, and they have such a good relationship. Good, funny relationship, as well as just them talking back and forth to each other. It's a raunchy comedy. It goes there with the comedy. And there's some things that happen that I was just completely shocked by all around. And just their conversations back and forth, having great chemistry, as well as just quipping jokes back and forth. Some things were a little questionable by the end. Some things weren't perfect. But still, I had a great time laughing during this. There was a lot of great raunchy comedies this year, and there will be another one. But definitely Long Shot is a surprise to me because it's such a great film that talks more than just being a raunchy comedy. It actually does have a great message at the end. I really like the ending all around, and I almost got emotional. So yeah, Long Shot is definitely a surprise. So now let's talk about Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, the iconic children book horror stories. This really shocked me. I had a great time with this movie. What a cool concept to do. Scary stories to tell in the dark. Guillermo del Toro produced this movie, and I just love seeing all of these scary stories that these ghost figures write their own stories, and the teen characters, they're about to die if their stories are getting written. And I loved a lot of things about this. That Red Room scene is seriously one of the best shot and scariest looking scenes I've seen this year. It's great. I love everything. The monster designs looked cool. Some of the teen characters weren't written properly and are unlikable, but still, I do like the main characters. They just weren't given more to do. And the ending was kinda but still, I really liked the first and second act, and it got me invested. So yeah, Scary Stories was a surprise to me, because again, usually horror movies like this, I could see hating just because of the teen character aspects. It looked like a cliche film that's about horror that I'll hate, but I really enjoyed this one. I had a fun time with it. It's not amazing, but it's something I could rewatch again, maybe with my friends, and just have a fun time with it. And that's what this movie gave me. Now, speaking of raunchy comedies, Good Boys, which I saw on my birthday. And Good Boys was also hilarious. This is, I think, the funniest film I've seen this year so far. I really enjoyed Good Boys. I had a great laugh with it. Jacob Tremblay and the whole cast were great. All three of these young boys were great. Brady Noon and Keith L. Williams mentioned them as well because they were hilarious in the film. And Seth Rogen, I kind of missed him. Maybe he was in an end credit scene. I didn't stay for that, but still, I really loved all the joke aspects. The comedy was there. The emotion was also there. I really felt for the characters and what they were doing. That drone subplot was my only issue. Some of those things didn't make sense at the end. Alright, you just wasted $600 on a drone, and it's just added in there just for runtime sakes. But still, it's a 90-minute comedy. It's hilarious. It makes you feel fun, but it just goes with a different joke that you didn't see coming. And that's what I really enjoyed about Good Boys. So I'm going to put it also as a surprise just because I had a fun time with it. There were a little issues with it, but still, it's a fun time to watch in the theater. 47 Meters Down Uncaged. This movie's awful, man. Just like the first 47 Meters Down. A lot of people actually really enjoyed the first 47 Meters Down. I didn't. It just felt like a typical shark movie trying to be Jaws, and it's just not that. And this sequel is even worse. It brings in these teen girls, Stallone's daughter, Jamie Foxx's daughter, and they can't carry a movie. They're spending 50 minutes out of a 90-minute runtime looking at this underwater tunnel, and they see some blind sharks and they gotta escape, and just did nothing for me at the end. The ending was stupid. The scares were kind of there, but the characters were bad. The script is atrocious, and it had no sense of direction to it, and it didn't even need to exist. So you know where this is going, in the worst category. It's definitely one of my worst films of the year so far. Oh man, Dark Phoenix. Alright, Dark Phoenix, man, this movie as well was bad, man. And I didn't go into this movie wanting to hate it. I wanted to love this movie. But man, there are so many things they get even more wrong than in The Last Stand. The Phoenix Saga, they've never read a Phoenix comic book in their entire life. First of all, the Phoenix, Jean Grey, when she is the Phoenix, she is good. She's not really evil. When she's the Dark Phoenix, that's when she's evil. But she's the Phoenix throughout this whole movie. It makes no sense at all. Sophie Turner is trying her best. James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, all these cast members are trying their best, but the whole film is trash. It's not planned properly. This whole universe is not planned properly. That's why it's in Marvel now. And it just, all these tones get completely switched around. It goes to a comedy, then to a serious film. Bringing in Jessica Chastain was a total waste, and the ending is stupid, makes no sense, and the character moments are not there. So Dark Phoenix goes in my worst category, because I did not like this movie at all, and I haven't rewatched it since, so it's there for a reason. The Hustle. Oh, why? Why am I talking about this next? The Hustle is a next level bad. Like, this movie is offensive. This movie's offensive towards men, the way they treat men in this movie. Anne Hathaway and Rebel Wilson, these are talented actresses, and their characters are so stupid. Like, they think they're the best women in the world, they can conquer everything, but really, they're just making themselves look stupid. This whole movie is useless. The jokes are terrible. The character moments, the script is absolutely embarrassing. Whoever wrote the script should be fired. Like, people in my theater were laughing. I'm like, why are you laughing? This is dumb as hell. And the character moments are not there, and the messages are embarrassing all around. So The Hustle is definitely one of my worst films of the year. I hated this movie almost. It's not worth watching. Don't watch it. Toy Story 4. Man, this movie was really great. And what a surprise, really. I'll put this both in different categories, because Toy Story 4, you guys know my opinions going into this movie. What the hell are you doing, Pixar? Why are you making a Toy Story 4? You're embarrassing the great ending of Toy Story 3. But man, I was wrong, because Toy Story 4 also has that emotion like the other films. Not the emotion of Toy Story 3, but man, the feels this movie has, the characters. Forky is seriously the most adorable little thing and funniest little thing. All these characters were funny. Duke Kaboom and Bunny and Key and Peele and them, they were hilarious. The new characters carry this whole entire film. I was disappointed, however, with some of the main characters like Buzz and Jesse and Bullseye and all of them. They didn't do much in this movie compared to the new characters. The emotion is there. The villain was also great as well, and it just made me feel good. I'll say though, the ending, I didn't cry, but I was getting the feels, and I was satisfied with this ending, and I don't want a Toy Story 5. This is a perfect ending, and I really enjoyed the directions this movie went. So Toy Story 4 is in the best category. Men in Black International. Man. Why is this made again? Chris Hemsworth, Tessa Thompson, very charismatic actors, but they are the only things that are much enjoyable. And Kumail Nanjiani, also hilarious. Liam Neeson is added in there as well. But this movie just feels like a floppy schlock mess. Visuals that are questionable, and action sequences that aren't as fun as the other films. And it just goes in completely different storylines, like, oh, Chris Hemsworth's going rogue, and Tessa Thompson's character trying to add her into this universe didn't make sense at all. Emma Thompson also in there, very wasted. I was also really disappointed with some aspects, maybe of bringing previous characters into this film. Like, I was hoping Tessa Thompson would be Will Smith's daughter. That would have been awesome. But it just completely ruins it. Kumail Nanjiani added in his humor, made it more fun to watch. But man, I could care less. Men in Black International, definitely a disappointment. Alright, so The Secret Life of Pets 2. Now, I did not like the first Secret Life of Pets, the hugest Toy Story ripoff in the world. Is this one a Toy Story ripoff? No, it is not. It is slightly better than the first one, but once again, I don't care about these movies. But I like how different this was to the first one. We go to a farm, and we see Harrison Ford as this dog. He was definitely the best part, Harrison Ford, because what else needs to be said? But also the changing of Louis C.K. with Patton Oswalt, that was good, but still, I didn't really care about the villain aspect, the tiger aspect they just added in here, and it just made it for a experience. So yeah, The Secret Life of Pets 2, I have nothing really else to say, but it's just an average movie. It's at best. So, Midsummer. Now, this is one of the more divisive films this year. Ari Aster's next directed film after Hereditary, and people were going into this really excited as one of their most anticipated films. I was there, but I wasn't 100% sold with the plot involving pagan cults. Not a huge fan of pagan cult movies overall, but I really loved Hereditary so much. I think that's one of the best horror films this decade. And so, Ari Aster kind of let me down here. I didn't love Midsummer. Sorry guys, if you're getting in that comment section ready to dislike or anything, hear me out. I just didn't really enjoy Midsummer that much, just because the characters weren't there for me, like in Hereditary. Like Toni Collette and the family, I really cared about them and what they were going for. But Florence Pugh in this movie, she does cry a lot. I'll say that. But she was honestly the best part of this movie. Jack Rayner, Will Poulter. Like, I don't care about other things going on with the other characters in this film. And Ari Aster does have beautiful cinematography and a great haunting score, just like in Hereditary. But it just goes in directions that I just didn't like. A lot of pagan cult things happen that just wasn't my cup of tea. One really go in there scene that just didn't work for me all around, and it just led to points that was just questionable. Like, why did you do this? Why did you do that? And it's just not my type of movie. It feels like The Wicker Man plus 100,000. So, sorry, Midsummer is definitely a disappointment to me. I wanted to love this movie all around, but I just didn't really enjoy a lot of aspects of where they were going. So, Detective Pikachu is the next one. I'm not the biggest Pokemon fan in the world. I didn't care about it that much. All the kids love Pokemon. I didn't play Pokemon Go, stuff like that. But I didn't hate this movie. It was a fun time for the most part, but I didn't love the movie all around. I really like Ryan Reynolds as the voice of Pikachu. Definitely the best part. And Justice Smith from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I didn't care about him, in all honesty. And his performance was a little better than in Fallen Kingdom, but still his character made some things that I didn't like at all. The forced romance. Stop, please. And also the villain twist was super predictable. Like, if I can predict who the villain is going to be by the start of the movie, you didn't do a good job. This movie's totally made for the Pokemon fans. If you love this movie, this is for you. But in terms of me, not a Pokemon fan, and I didn't fully love it, but still, I did have some fun aspects with this movie, so I will put Detective Pikachu in the average category. It is an average movie to me. I'll probably rewatch it again and see if I can enjoy it more, but still, average. Alright, let's talk about Crawl. Sam Raimi produced alligator chomping movie during a huge hurricane. I really enjoyed Crawl. This movie had the scares, it had the tension, and it had that suspenseful direction. I really enjoyed where Crawl was going. Kaya Scodelario, I really enjoyed her in the Maze Runner trilogy, and to see her in a lead-in role in Crawl was really good to watch. I love the design of these alligators, the realistic aspects of being stuck during a Category 5 hurricane in a basement. That's terrifying to me. And seeing these crocodiles being huge, intimidating threats and just being stuck in a house was just great. It's a close to 90-minute, 80-minute runtime film. Perfect runtime, had no issues with that. So Crawl was definitely a surprise for me. I really enjoyed it. I love the pacing. Let's talk about Shaft. So Shaft exists. Yeah, I did see this movie, unfortunately, and the original exists as well. And yeah, this movie's terrible. Why did it need to happen? Just like The Hustle. Why are you remaking these old classics that came out almost 20 years ago? But Samuel L. Jackson is honestly the best part about this movie. You only need to hear that. The rest of the characters, Jesse T. Usher, he was in Independence Day Resurgence, and here he's really annoying. The family aspects in this movie are, I could care less. And the humor is so bad. Like this, the whole direction is just pointless. The whole ending as well. Honestly, so you obviously know where I'm putting Shaft in the worst category. It's pointless to even make this movie. Why are you just making cash grabs and just having audiences go see it because Samuel L. Jackson's in it? And it's just made to make money, and it's just an insult to film fans like us. Okay, you can invest your money making a sequel that we all want to see, but you just make this. So, get out of here. Now, The Intruder. Now, this movie, it's also atrocious, but it's more entertaining to watch because of Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid understands what his role is, and he just takes it and has a blast with it, playing this insane guy who loves this house that he owns, gives it up to this new couple, Megan Good, makes it terrifyingly uncomfortable for them. And The Intruder does have awful aspects. The main character is Megan Good. She's super nice, she's super stupid in this movie, doesn't understand what Dennis Quaid's doing, and it just goes into an ending that we can all predict was going to happen. Has those fun aspects if you're looking for a guilty pleasure type of vibe, but still, it's not the best movie in the sense. So The Intruder goes in the worst category because of some terrible main performances, but Dennis Quaid made it entertaining, so that's definitely a positive. Let's talk about John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. Now, this movie is honestly the best action movie I've seen since Fallout last year. What an incredible action movie John Wick 3 was, because I had huge hype going into this, and it did not disappoint me in one bit in terms of the action. There is action in the first act, the second act, and the third act. Non-stop action, guns, shootout sequences. It has all of that thrown into a blender and thrown out into a 2-hour plus long film. Keanu Reeves solidified himself having a perfect franchise so far, since The Matrix wasn't perfect. And so we have this. John Wick is his perfect franchise. I love Keanu in this movie. I loved Halle Berry. She was great as well. And to see the Continental and everything, John Wick's out on his own. All these assassins are trying to kill him because of a $14 million buyout. It just leads into incredible action. The action drives this movie 100%. The opening one, the knife fight sequence, is my favorite scene this year so far. Everything goes completely berserker, and I just really love John Wick 3. It's in the best category by far. Alright, let's talk about the Child's Play remake with Mark Hamill. Now, this movie was and so Mark Hamill was a good voice for Chucky because it's Mark Hamill, he's the Joker. Besides that, I really didn't enjoy that much, and so it just led into a beginning, a middle, and an ending that's just like, okay, I just want to see Mark Hamill again. And we did get to see that, but we had to wait a lot of certain sequences. The main characters as well weren't really there. The story just feels like it's forced out for runtime sakes and not enough development or care put into characters. My favorite kill out of this movie by far is the chimney sequence. That was great. Besides that, this Child's Play remake didn't really need to exist, so it goes in the disappointing category, just because, was there really even a point to make this? No, not really. Alright, Stuber. This movie, I actually enjoyed it. I know a lot of people didn't like this movie all around, but still, I enjoyed this movie. Kumail Nanjiani and Batista, those two are great together with their comedic chemistry. They're on point. They're two completely different people going for different things, and Kumail in this movie is absolutely hilarious. Him trying to go to this girl he has a crush on, and Batista trying to be a good father, and to see them button heads was entertaining. For sure, it has villain aspects that are useless and pointless, but still good character moments, good emotion thrown in there, fun sequences involving cars breaking down, and it also has the guy from the Raid, so added into those action sequences in there, it was just a fun time to watch. And so I'll put Stuber actually as part of the average category. Not the best movie all around, but still, I had fun parts to it and had some issues with it, so I'll watch it again. Alright, let's talk about Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile, the Ted Bundy movie starring Zac Efron. This movie was actually pretty solid. Zac Efron gave a really good performance as Ted Bundy. Lily Collins was also really good as well. It shows Ted Bundy as well being an insane guy and really getting you into that charismatic side of him. And Efron definitely really carries the whole entire film. John Malkovich as well is in there. Some aspects I wanted more from. The ending was pretty disappointing in how things ended up, but still the performances were there. The production design was also really there as well. I definitely felt like I was watching it in the 70s, so I'm going to give Extremely Wicked an average as well. It's a fun movie to watch at times for how charismatic Efron can really be, to making you really enjoy yourself watching an extreme serial killer. Alright, let's talk about The Lion King 2019. Now, this movie, I had a lot of opinions and worries going into this because The Lion King is my favorite Disney film and favorite animated film of all time. And it's like, what is the biggest point? This is the most unnecessary movie of all time. Disney, you have spent almost $400 million making this movie just because you're so greedy on money. and that is what the money side is for this movie. This movie has made about $1.5 billion, and that's the only reason why people are seeing this and giving it praise, just because it's the Lion King. Nostalgia, who cares about originality? This movie, I'm sorry, I didn't like this movie at all, guys. It was the same movie, the same story. Some of the things I really enjoyed were Timon and Pumbaa. They were definitely the saviors for this film. Seth Rogen was great, and Billy Eichner as Timon. Those two together, perfect. But everything else besides that, I don't care about Donald Glover or Beyonce or Chiwetel Ejiofor, Scar. Get them off the screen. Be prepared. Why are you doing this to the best villain son ever? Since both movies are out, you could pick one or the other. I will always watch that original film. Never watch this film again. I'll never show this movie to my kids. So I'm sorry. I am going there. I am putting this in the worst category. This movie, I didn't like this movie. I'm being honest, guys. Finally, I could talk about a positive movie. Spider-Man Far From Home. This movie was great. I loved Far From Home. What a great Spider-Man movie. What a great MCU movie all around. Great ending to the Infinity Saga. Man, Tom Holland, great as Spider-Man. Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. Seriously, that man was too good to be in this movie. He was so perfectly cast as Mysterio. I love the Quentin Beck and Mysterio aspects as well. And seeing the high school aspects as well going to Europe and making it a fun superhero film, which led into a great ending all around. I really enjoyed it. The end credit scenes, I'm not going to talk about them. They are some of the best end credit scenes the MCU has ever done. So yeah, you know where I'm going with this. Spider-Man Far From Home is definitely in the best category. One of my favorite films of the year so far. It is up there for sure. So let's talk about Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Alright, I've gotten a lot of hate from people just because of my opinions about this movie going into it, and that I wasn't excited about it. In the trailers, like I didn't like the first Godzilla 2014. And this one was an improvement over the 2014 one. I won't lie about that. The monster fights were amazing. Like with Godzilla fighting Ghidorah and some of these other ones, Mothra being thrown in there, Rohan, those were amazing to watch. But it's full of human characters that just drag pretty much 85% of this story. 85% of this movie is about Vera Farmiga and Kyle Chandler and their daughter Millie Bobby Brown. I don't care. Like, I want to see Godzilla punch the crap out of Ghidorah. That's what we want to get to. If it had more of those aspects, I would have given this movie a better grade. All of these new human characters, give them potential sequel storylines, including Charles Dance, that I just don't care about. So Godzilla King of the Monsters goes in my disappointing category just because it had so many great things to where I was getting close to that positive grade, but it just added in those human elements that it killed it for me. Not a terrible movie, not saying it's terrible, it's just a disappointment to where it was getting to the good aspects. Yes, alright, let's talk about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I don't even have to say it. I freaking love this movie so much. I love everything about this movie. Quentin Tarantino making his 9th film all around, making it great. One of my favorite Tarantino movies, adding in the cool elements of Hollywood and getting us invested into the filmmaking process, as well as getting into these two characters. I love Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth. Seriously, DiCaprio and Pitt better get Oscar nominations, both of them. I love Cliff Booth the most because Brad Pitt is so funny as that character. He was the best part about the film. And seeing DiCaprio with his crying scenes is just some of the best acting this year. One of the best final acts in a Tarantino film. It is absolutely incredible and entertaining. The 2-hour and 40-minute runtime was too long. I do agree with some people and their complaints on the runtime. It definitely could have been shortened a little bit. But still, that didn't bother me at all. I was not bored at all watching this movie. I loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And it's definitely in the best category by far. Alright, Hobbs and Shaw. Now, if we're just talking about entertaining movies that I'm not expecting anything Oscar-worthy about, it's this movie right here. And man, this movie gave me everything I wanted. This movie was action-packed, it was hilarious, it was dumb, stupid, and what else can you expect? It's just The Rock throwing around a helicopter with a Wonder Woman lasso, and them just staring at each other, doing playground insult YouTube videos, saying the best insults possible. Like, that's what I wanted, and I got exactly that. The Rock and Jason Statham need to sign up for more movies together, because they could do movies together until they die. They are absolutely hilarious. Vanessa Kirby, great new addition. Idris Elba as this insane Terminator-looking villain with the metal spine was great. And so yeah, Hobbs and Shaw was so much fun. Love those end credit scenes and those cameos. You know what I'm talking about. So Hobbs and Shaw, I'm going to put this in the surprising categories just because I really enjoyed the movie all around. I wasn't expecting it to be one of the best Fast and Furious movies, but I surprisingly really enjoyed this in some of the previous films. Alright, let's talk about Dora and the Lost City of Gold, one of the more recent releases. This movie was If you're a Dora fan, and I was in the theater with Dora fans, they really loved this movie. And the best part about this movie is Isabella Moner. I really like this actress. I loved her in Instant Family. If you haven't seen that, please watch it. And she was the best part. She was great as Dora. She was perfectly cast. She brings the charm of Dora, the smiles, just the warm-hearted of Dora, and being a positive role model and hero to younger girls. Michael Pena's thrown in there. He wasn't in it that much, along with some other characters, the parents. And Eugenio Derbez, he was in some movies in the past, but he was pretty annoying to me, just dragged the whole movie down in certain aspects. Very predictable movie, knew where this movie was going, and I didn't really love it because it's not my cup of tea, it's more for the kids, so the kids will definitely love this movie. But for me, I'm going to put Dora in the Lost City of Gold in the disappointing category, just because it's not my cup of tea, it's just not that much fun to me, and it has good things about it, but just nothing really that I care about. Alright, let's talk about A Dog's Purpose, or sorry, A Dog's Journey. Sorry, there's too many dog movies. So, A Dog's Journey. Why did I see this movie? Why did I care to see this? It's got Dennis Quaid and a cute dog, but I didn't like this movie, if I'm being honest. These dog movies are just made to be very manipulative, to make you cry. Just like A Dog's Way Home earlier this year. They're just made to make you cry and care about a cute little puppy and everything. Oh, he's gonna run off and everything and like that. I don't care. Like, why did I see this movie all around? It's just very manipulative, very useless, and just So this goes in the worst category, just because I don't care to talk about it now. Alright, Annabelle Comes Home. Another Annabelle movie. Why are there 3 Annabelle movies? I don't know. Is this one good? Not really. Okay, it had some good aspects to it. I will say that. I do love McKenna Grace in this movie. She was great. I really like how some of the scares were filmed in this movie. There's an incredible shot of the Annabelle doll growing bigger and bigger. That was my favorite shot in the film. I did enjoy some of the scares and how the set and locations were in it, but there's some things that I don't care about, which are the jump scares. They use so much jump scares that are super predictable. I predicted every jump scare, and that's really disappointing. I really like unpredictable jump scares, and this movie had none of that. So I'll put Annabelle Comes Home in the average category, because I didn't hate the movie all around. Now let's talk about Brightburn, the James Gunn produced bad Superman movie. What if Superman was brought to Earth? Instead, he's completely evil and a murderous monster. And I really enjoyed some aspects of Brightburn, but also didn't enjoy other aspects. So I really enjoyed just some of the aspects of this kid turning bad and being bad, destroying cars and buildings, of the Superman storyline all around. And it also had some very disappointing things as well with some of the human characters, and just went in directions that I didn't care about. The ending as well, it was very predictable where they were going. If this movie were to make a sequel, I would want to watch it, but I feel it's pointless to this point, because it didn't fully earn with what it was trying to go for. So I'm going to put Brightburn in the average category just because they were doing good on some things, but some pointless things do happen. One of the more recent films I've just seen is Angel Has Fallen. A trilogy. Really, another trilogy. And this movie, in my opinion, is the weakest in the Fallen trilogy. I didn't really enjoy this movie as much, and so Gerard Butler, he's fine. Morgan Freeman is fine as well. My name is Morgan Freeman. But it's just full of other Fallen films that we've seen before, but just adds in different things as well. Nick Nolte is in this movie. He plays Gerard Butler's father. He was great. Besides that, it's just a shoot-'em-up action movie. Let's blow up some houses and have some gun shootouts. Like, I've seen that a million times before. Felt sloppy compared to other action films and some other Fallen films. So, Angel Has Fallen does go in the... I'm going to put it in the worst category just because it had a lot of aspects that just felt very sloppy. Some of the editing, the direction, and the acting choices just felt dull and sloppy. And this is the Octavia Spencer Blumhouse film. Was a lot of fun. I did enjoy Octavia Spencer is the main reason why you should watch this movie. The trailer totally paints it out of what the movie really is. Octavia Spencer is this loner, and she just lures in all these teenagers into her house to drink, party up, woo, 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 and then it just goes bonkers by the end, and that's what I wanted to see. I just really enjoyed where the movie was going, but the teenager aspects was definitely an underwhelming part. We want more Octavia Spencer. Give us more Octavia Spencer. The daughter plotline went nowhere. Like, why did that need to be in the movie? So I'll give it a surprise because of that. Because this movie could have been atrocious, and Octavia Spencer could have been the best part. But there are some good scare setups, and Octavia Spencer leads the film. Rocket Man! This is one of the films I got to see early at a Fandango early screening, and I really loved Rocket Man. This movie was a great interpretation and storyline of Elton John. Taron Egerton gives one of the best performances this year, and should he get an Oscar nom? Hopefully. But I really loved this Rocket Man movie. I love Taron Egerton, Richard Madden. Who else is in this movie? Jamie Bell, great. I just love the songs of Elton John. It also goes into some of the dark, depressing things about Elton John, him with alcohol and drugs. And it went in directions that was way better than Bohemian Rhapsody. Because Bohemian Rhapsody, it does go into the life of Freddie Mercury, but it doesn't go into everything. I feel this movie does do everything. Rocket Man definitely is in the best category for me, because I would definitely watch this movie again. I want to watch it with my family and just show them the great life of Elton John that I didn't know about before watching this movie. Alright, this is the most recent film I saw yesterday, which is Ready or Not. In this movie, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the gaming aspects, the hide and seek clue aspects, R-rated clue. This movie had everything that I really enjoyed. Something about Ready or Not that really surprised me was the production design, how great all the sets looked, the costume design looked. It really did feel like I was watching a really throwback Oscar-worthy film in terms of the costumes and production. And Samara Weaving, I think that's her name, I loved her in this movie. She was really good. And she was good in The Babysitter, and she was the one who stole this whole entire film. The other actors I could care less about. Just give me more of her. And it went in really cliche, predictable directions where I kind of knew where the film was going, but it also had an ending that I didn't see coming, which was great. It was cool to watch all of that final act things go down. Some of the script was a mess, but still, I enjoyed this movie enough to put it in the surprising category, because I wasn't going to see this movie unless I was hearing good things about it and some people telling me to go see it. And I was happy I did see it, because I actually did have a fun time with it. So, thanks guys. The Angry Birds Movie 2. This movie exists, and this was another movie I saw early. But, man, why? What's the point? I don't get why people like these movies that much. They're just made for kids, and it has unlikable characters in both of these movies. And Jason Sudeikis, Peter Dinklage, some other people, I just don't care. And Leslie Jones plays the villain in this movie. Super over the top, and it just has no Angry Birds vibes to it. It just feels like a completely different movie than the first one. It's like, alright, you're promoting a iPhone app that came out a long time ago that no one plays anymore. Alright, what's the point for a sequel now? And so, Bill Hader as well. So, I didn't really like this movie that much, the Angry Birds movie too, so it goes in the worst category. I was annoyed and exhausted during this whole entire screening. One of the best films this year, Blinded by the Light. If you're passionate about something and you want to do something in life, watch this movie. If you love movies, filmmaking, watch this movie. If you just need happiness, watch this movie. Blinded by the Light is seriously one of the best films this year. I love this movie. I love the Bruce Springsteen vibe of this movie. This guy super inspired by Springsteen, and he just uses it to move forward in life. Life is hitting you hard, you come back stronger. And Blinded by the Light gave me that. The music aspects were great, the storyline, the messages all around, it really got to me. So Blinded by the Light is definitely one of the best films this year, in the best category. Now these last two films we're going to talk negatively about. Let's talk about The Kitchen. Oh man, Melissa McCarthy, you could do so much better than this. Tiffany Haddish, you've been on a downward path ever since Girls Trip. Man, this movie also is really bad. Everything. Direction, script, characters, arcs, messages, nothing good about this movie. It's generic, it's something we've seen before a million times, and it has characters that I could care less about. And rewatchability that's just not there all around. It was a painful experience to watch how bad this movie was. You feel special after watching this movie, or some of the characters do, and you don't really at all. So this movie is one of my worst films of the year. It goes in the worst. And the last movie, guys, we're going to talk about is Anna. Now, probably not a lot of you saw this movie, but Anna is basically a female John Wick movie, and Atomic Blonde. Now, this movie also was really dull, and I wanted to love this movie so much, but I didn't. Sasha Lust plays the main character, the main badass girl. Does fine in the action sequences, but the character development is just not there all around. Luke Evans is also in the movie. Cillian Murphy, one of the best parts about the film, but it just goes into a generic spy movie where I just felt like I was watching Red Sparrow meets Atomic Blonde. That just wasn't there. The ending was also questionable. Helen Mirren's character was really questionable as well. The action sequences are really done. That restaurant scene is great. Besides that, other spy generic movies done better than that, and so other scenes just didn't mesh well with that restaurant scene. So I was really disappointed with Anna. It goes in the disappointing category. There you have it, guys. That was my tier list for the whole 2019 summer movie season. Man, that was a lot of talking. I tried to do as much of this in one take as possible, but man, this was a fun thing to do. Let me know if you guys really like this tier list more than other videos, and if I get a lot of comments saying you do like it, I'll do this again for another time, because this was a lot of fun talking about a lot of movies. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. And if you guys liked it, please give it a thumbs up. All of my social media links are in the description below. Let's have a great conversation about these movies if you agree, disagree, and all of that. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!